Let's face it, this was a game on both sides. The teams would want a whole lot of plays back, even though the Argos ultimately prevailed in overtime. But for Winnipeg, turnovers especially were really costly. Fumbles in the game, and of course, the interception that went for a Toronto touchdown.
Yeah, that seemed to kind of break this game open, a game that was all about field goals up until that point. The Tarvarus McFadden interception in the fourth quarter deflected by Deshaun Amos, a play with some controversy, as it looked like Amos might have been in early on the intended receiver, but no call on the play. McFadden gives the Argos a lead. Argos with a gamble in field goal position. Adam Bighill comes up with the stuff on third down. Winnipeg responds with points off that turnover. One long ball of the game, it seemed, to Ontario Wilson, and that tied up the game, Rod.
And then from there, Duane, this decision to go for it, instead of kick the field goal on third and short, comes back to haunt Mike O'Shea when they do the measure, and they turn it over on downs, just like the Argos had done.
Yeah, and this one came with about a minute left. Would have put Winnipeg up by 3 with an Argo offense that was struggling, having to go all the way down the field. Instead, the game ends up going into overtime. Winnipeg has the ball first after Toronto wins the coin toss and chooses to defend. Wide left on Castillo's attempt. Liram Hairolahu follows that up with a winning field goal. Argos kind of dodging a bullet to come away with the home victory in this ball game.
They definitely did, Duane. The Argos had their problems in this game as well. For Liram Hairolahu, his second walk-off field goal for the win for Toronto. But mentioning all those turnovers, and the biggest one, that pick six, Tarvarus McFadden, who has this to say to Matthew Shinetti.
So, Tarvarus, I know what you did tonight, but what were you doing last week at this time?
Last week at this time, I was at home taking care of my daughter.
How satisfying is that, knowing, well, is it satisfying? Was it tough leaving your family to come back?
It's always tough leaving my family, but I'm thankful that God keep blessing me with opportunities to be able to play the game that I love.
How satisfying was it to see your teammates? I know pointing to the watch means making a play at a critical time, but how satisfying was that, knowing you were cut at the end of training camp?
I mean, it's all part of the game. You know, it's all part of the business. As football players, we got to keep the faith and know that we belong where we're supposed to belong, and God gonna always make a way.
What's your daughter's name?
Talia Rain.
You have any message for her after that tonight? Was that pick for her?
Everything I do is for her. The opportunity to come out here and leave them all the way out the country is for my baby.
Thanks for this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I got it.
Nice moment for Tarvarus McFadden after, as Matthew had talked about, he was cut in training camp. Well, in the Argos case, they don't ask how, they ask how many, and that's for their fourth victory, so they're above 500 now, playing in Calgary next week. And as for Winnipeg, veteran team used to winning. Mike O'Shea has said they don't dwell on their record at this point of the season, but it's getting harder and harder to ignore as Winnipeg falls to 2-6 with a much bigger showdown looming now at home against the BC Lions.